First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Welcome to WUFT News First at 5. I'm Ophelie Jacobson.
And I'm Serra Sowers. Thank you for joining us. It's looking like beautiful weather this weekend.
Definitely. Unfortunately, I will probably be stuck inside writing essays all weekend.
Me too.
But for those of you that actually can get outside, WUFT's Daniela Rudolph joins us now with the weather forecast. Daniela?
Thank you, ladies. That actually sounds really terrible that you're being indoors because it's going to be a beautiful weekend to spend out. Right now, 86. Look at those clear skies. Those clouds aren't going to be bringing any precipitation for the remainder of the day. Let's take a look at what our temperatures are doing right now. Those high and mid 80s across the board. A beautiful evening to be out on the town. I'm happy that it's Friday. I'm pretty sure that you are too. But just keep in mind that if you are heading out on the town, we are going to be having some patchy fog throughout tonight into tomorrow morning, and that will decrease visibility if you're traveling home or traveling in the morning. But let's take a look at what's happening out on the town this evening temperature wise. Starting out at 8 p.m. 74 with clear skies, only dropping to 62. So it's a great day to have a great Friday and a great night to be out on the town. But stay with us for some more weather information. Back to you, ladies.
Thanks, Daniela. Gainesville's GRU debt problem was highlighted Thursday by the City Commission. The City Commission voted unanimously yesterday to hire an external lawyer to fight the state bill if it does not fit their needs. Commissioners expressed concern over a state bill that, as drafted, would establish a governor-appointed board to oversee GRU rather than the City Commission. The bill would pose a great threat to the overall city budget, and some commissioners are worried about how it will work.
So it's a structure that can work, right? Our voters didn't want that structure, but it's a structure that can work. The structure that's been proposed here is not done anywhere else in the United States of America. It would be a totally experimental structure that is imposed upon GRU that would have state oversight to a local municipality that is not its own independent governing body. It is an enterprise. It is 5 enterprise funds of the city of Gainesville that we refer to as the brand of Gainesville Regional Utilities.
The board is going to check with lobbyists to see if they can influence State Representative Chuck Clemens, who fronts the bill. GRU is currently $1.7 billion in debt.
The father of a teen who died in the 2018 Parkland shooting was arrested yesterday at the Capitol for disrupting a hearing on strengthening access to guns. The Republican chairman of the House Oversight Committee ordered the removal of the victim's mother after she accused gun rights activists of taking away her son. Representative Pat Fallon ordered the removal of her husband, Manuel Oliver. What's not on the video is Capitol Police pinning Manuel Oliver to the ground outside the chamber and arresting him. That, as fellow gun safety advocates chanted, he's not violent. At some point, Fallon compared the demonstrators to January 6 rioters, drawing fire from Democrats on the panel. The House voted to pass a GOP bill that aims to increase parental rights in the classroom. The Parents' Bill of Rights Act requires schools to provide parents with a list of books and reading materials available in the school library. Other mandates included posting curriculum publicly. Administrators have to tell parents about violent activity on school grounds, and for elementary and middle schools that receive federal funding, they must have permission before changing a child's gender markers, pronouns, or preferred name on any school form, or allowing a child to change the child's gender-based accommodations, including locker rooms and bathrooms.
In other education news, the Florida Senate gave final approval to a bill that would increase the availability of school vouchers. The vouchers allow children to attend private schools with funding from the state. The bill, titled An Act Relating to Education, expands the availability of scholarships for Florida students. These scholarships don't just pay for private school tuition, it also affords supplies and e-learning services for students who are homeschooled. Republican State Senator Keith Perry says the goal of this legislation is to assist families in need of financial assistance.
People with means can take their child out of a failing school if they have enough money and do whatever they want. So it's really an unfair education system when you limit a parent's ability. And this kind of levels that playing field and really opens it up to everybody.
Not all Florida state senators agreed with the bill. State senators in opposition worry that the bill could drain money from Florida public schools. Opponents also objected the use of taxpayer dollars to fund religious schools. HB 1 is now waiting to be signed by Governor Ron DeSantis.
A North Central Florida farm welcomes families for some spring break fun. The Amberbrook Farms puts on spring break days in Williston. Families and friends can enjoy fresh strawberry and blueberry picking along with numerous activities for kids. Children can enjoy playgrounds, jumping pads, bean bags, and more. You could also grab a bite to eat at the farm cafe, which uses freshly grown ingredients. We're told the farm is a popular stop this spring break.
We've been open for the past 2 weeks for spring break days for the surrounding counties, and it's just been an opportunity for children and their families to come out and to experience the farm.
This event is an Easter egg hunt on April 1st, featuring more than, get this, 10,000 hidden eggs.
And coming up on WFT's First at 5, 2 well-known vehicle brands posed a threat to drivers on the road. We'll tell you what you need to know about the recalls to stay safe.
That, plus weather and sports a little later in the show. Stay with us. You're watching First at 5.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Thanks for staying with us. The suspect of last week's fatal shooting in Miami Beach told police he acted in self-defense. When officers arrived, they found a man with multiple gunshot wounds. Police say a 23-year-old suspect admitted to firing his weapon. He told police someone pulled a gun on him and he was forced to defend himself. The victim died from his injuries. Another person was also hurt in the shooting. The suspect was taken into custody without incident and no charges have been filed.
Hyundai and Kia are telling more than 571,000 SUV and minivan owners in the U.S. to park outdoors and away from structures. The tow hitch harness can catch fire while parked or driven. The Korean automakers say that water can get into a circuit board on the tow hitches and cause a short circuit even if the ignitions are off. The recall affects Hyundai vehicles that include the 2019 to 2023 Santa Fe, the 2021 to 2023 Santa Fe Hybrid, the 2022 and 2023 Santa Fe Plug-in Hybrid, and the 2022 and 2023 Santa Cruz. The only Kia affected is the Carnival minivan from 2022 and 2023. Hyundai reported 1 fire and 5 heat damage incidents with no injuries. Kia has not reported any fires or injuries. Owners should be notified starting May 16.
A Minnesota nuclear power plant shut down Friday to repair a leak containing a radioactive compound. Xcel Energy says the leak is confined to the facility. It doesn't pose a risk to the public or to the environment, but groundwater is still being monitored because of its proximity to the Mississippi. 4 months ago, about 400,000 gallons of water were released in a similar leak.
Ophelia, I heard there was a beautiful rocket launch today over on Cape Canaveral.
Yeah, I used to live right by there. I absolutely love seeing those rocket launches all the time.
They really are fun, and it seemed like perfect conditions for takeoff. Coming back after the break, we'll see if those conditions continue throughout the weekend.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. A SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket lifted off from Florida's Cape Canaveral Space Force Station today.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
The rocket carried a payload of 56 Starlink satellites into low Earth orbit. Today's payload will add to the 4,105 Starlink satellites SpaceX has already placed in orbit. The Falcon 9's first stage returned to Earth and made a precise landing on board a drone ship called a Shortfall of Gravitas off Florida's coast. SpaceX says this is the 10th launch and landing for this specific booster and the company's 20th overall launch this year. Serra, I will never get over just how cool these rocket launches are.
They really are. Have you ever seen it from the beach at night?
No, at night, yes, but not from the beach.
Oh, well, I'm hoping for some starry skies tonight. Let's check in with Daniela Rudolph in the WUFT Weather Center. Daniela?
So of course the big story this week is we're having a summertime feel even though it was only spring just a week ago. Although those temperatures are going to be rising well above what we're actually expecting for this time of year, almost in the 90s, it's important that while you're enjoying your time outside in the sun that you do look after yourself. Please drink water, stay hydrated, make sure you spend a little bit of time in the shade and just enjoy your summertime weather responsibly. So we're going to the temperatures for the remainder of the day. As I said, it's going to be really warm, and you can see it right now across the board in those 80s. Looking at a bit of a wider view of the states, here in the Sunshine State, again 80s across the board, and it's actually much warmer in these parts too, which is nice for this time of year. But if you are going to be spending time outside, just make sure that you do keep in mind this water vapor. So we have this nice area of precipitation that's going to be moving up into the states, and it's going to be making temperatures feel a lot warmer than what they normally would be. So although those temperatures are in those mid 80s, they are going to be feeling like in the 90s. So again, hydrate and make sure you spend some time in the shade. But looking at a future radar, in the Midwest, we have been having some severe weather, although it's not impacting us directly here in Florida. We have this cold and stationary front moving across, which is going to be dipping temperatures later on in the week. Stay with me to see exactly when and where. But let's take a look at our hour by hour for the remainder of the evening. Again, beautiful night to be out on the town, only dipping to 63. But it is the weekend. I don't know about you, but I'm really, really happy that it's finally the weekend. And again, we have these beautiful, beautiful temperatures. I'm going to be hitting the pool, and it's going to be a great one. But unfortunately, spending time outside is going to come at a small price this week, as the pollen is still in the air. I don't know about you guys, but I've really, really been struggling with my allergies, so it's going to be nothing but splashing and sniffing for the remainder of the weekend. But let's take a look at our 6-day outlook. There you see that big drop from 85 and 88 down to 81, with the 40% chance of those thunder showers on Tuesday, which is where that cold front is going to be affecting us, dropping again into 78. But if you like the warm weather, you're in luck, because we're going back up into those mid to high 80s on Thursday. So our reporter Fareeha Abrar actually spent the entire day teaching me about Ramadan. So if you are observing it this evening at home, let's take a look at our Break the Fast forecast. The sun is going down around 7 p.m. today. So if you are breaking your fast, then you can expect temperatures to be 79, dropping to 72 for those 9 p.m. prayers, but only dropping to 66 for the remainder of your celebration. Fareeha has more for us, so stay with us. But for now, back to you, ladies.
Thanks, Daniela. Like she just mentioned, Muslims are observing Holy Month right now. WFT's Fareeha Abrar joins us live in the studio to explain more about how locals in Gainesville observe Ramadan.
Thanks, Ophelia, and Ramadan Kareem to you and everyone else watching. There are about 8 billion people in the world, and about a quarter of them are fasting from sunup to sundown every day for an entire month. For those who aren't familiar with the holy month Ramadan, it commemorates when the Holy Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Islam on Campus is one of the university's largest organizations, representing one of the largest religious groups at UF. Fastathon is an annual event held throughout the nation at college campuses, with the goal of promoting unity and understanding Islam in mind. The IOC organization encourages people of all diverse backgrounds to fast on April 6th to show people what Muslims undergo during the month of Ramadan. Sawam, or fasting during the month of Ramadan, is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and it's what freshman Harris Ali is looking most forward to doing this holy month, which actually coincides with IOC's biggest annual event.
The interesting thing about Fastathon being in Ramadan is that we're no longer asking people to imagine what Ramadan is and appreciate. Like, they're going to be seeing us putting in that work, and they're going to be able to appreciate what we're feeling as well, along at the same time with us.
This year's Fastathon is raising money with Helping Hands for Relief and Development to build wells in Afghanistan, Uganda, Nepal, and Indonesia. The campaign is not just a one-day banquet, but follows a campaign of charity events, from bake sales, art auctions, and a number of other fundraising efforts. Ramadan began Wednesday night and runs until April 20th or 21st. It depends on the moon, because the Islamic calendar is lunar-based, which is also why it shifts 11 days earlier every year. If you're interested in participating at this year's Fastathon, you can join my Muslim brothers and sisters at the O'Connell Center at 6 p.m. on April 6th. Back to you, Ophelia and Serra.
Thanks, Fareeha. I definitely learned so much just in that one segment alone.
So did I. And you know, now that we're switching over to sports, I'm kind of bummed that we're not going to be here, with baseball this weekend.
I know. I've actually never been to a baseball game in my 4 years of being here at UF. Kind of embarrassing. But when we get back from the break, you'll hear from all about the Gators' road trip to Oxford, Mississippi this weekend, and what it would mean for their season. That's coming up after the break, so stay with us.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Jennica Clerveaux. It's a busy weekend for the Gators. Up first, the third-ranked Gators baseball team will be headed to the University of Mississippi in search of their first series win against the Rebels in Oxford since 2008. Mississippi head coach Mike Bianco is impressed with what he sees in this Gators team.
Offensively, they've gotten off to a great start and, hit a ton of home runs. But I think, as a coach, I always look at pitching. And when you look at the three guys that they run out to start a weekend, it's super impressive.
The series this weekend will mark the second conference play matchup for both teams this season. And a series win for the Gators would extend their current 3-0 road record. Tomorrow night will be a doubleheader with first pitch of Game 1 being set for 2:30. Meanwhile, in neighboring Arkansas, 8th-ranked Florida softball will be in Fayetteville tonight, opening their weekend series with the 12th-ranked Razorbacks. After downing Stetson 4-1 Wednesday night, the Gators look for a series win against the Razorbacks after taking 2 of 3 from Missouri last weekend. Tonight's game time is set for 7 p.m. On the gridiron, Florida football spring practice continues tomorrow. There's been some movement on the team as Baylor transfer and O-lineman Micah Makuza announced his intention to enter the transfer portal last night. Also, following yesterday's practice, it was reported that tight end Keon Zipperer suffered a knee injury. The Gators are currently awaiting on an update of the severity of the injury and a recovery timetable. On the opposite side of the ball, defensive line coach Son Spencer has been working closely with his wild dogs. I'll leave it to him to let you know what makes his D-line so wild.
If you study the African wild dog, it's the most efficient animal in the jungle in terms of hunting because it hunts together, right? And I want them to hunt for each other. They basically hunt for the family, and that's how I want them to be.
The Florida's women's basketball team is headed to the Great 8 in the WNIT. The Gators took down Clemson last night in South Carolina 73-63. KK Deans led the way with 19 points. Alberti Rimdahl and Leilani Carrera followed close behind with 11 points apiece. The Gators will keep on dancing as they head to Ohio for a date with Bowling Green. On Monday night, the Falcons are coming off of a 73-60 win over Memphis last night. Tip-off for Monday night's matchup is set for 6 p.m. Meanwhile, over at Santa Fe College, their baseball team is red hot. With a record of 30-1 so far this season, they're playing another team today that also has 30 wins on the season. Joining us live to talk about the matchup is WUFT's Julianna Reichenbach. Julianna.
Hey Jennica, welcome to Santa Fe College, where we had a big matchup start today at 3 p.m. and now we're in the 9th inning, Saints up 5-4. The Saints came in 30-1, while Central Florida came in 31-2 and number 1, and they showed why in the first inning, scoring 2 runs. The Saints didn't score a run or a hit into the 5th inning, but once they made contact, they exploded. 5 hits, 4 runs. The Saints had a lead for a while until the 8th inning when the Patriots hit 2 runs to go up 5-4, to tie the game. The Saints went up 5-4 in the 9th, and now we see what happens. But for now, reporting live from Santa Fe College, I'm Julianna Reichenbach. Back to you, Jennica.
Thanks, Julianna. Back on the court, the NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament continues action today with an afternoon game between Miami and Villanova. Miami dominated in the first half alone. They out-rebounded the Wildcats 21-9. They finished the half with a 46-33 lead. In the second half, Villanova clawed their way back, taking the game to the wire. With a final score of 70-65, the Canes now await the winner of the Utah and LSU matchup, which is currently underway. Some SEC teams are also in action later on today, with LSU meeting up with Utah at 5 p.m. Then Ole Miss and Louisville will face off at 10. And tomorrow, top seed South Carolina will battle it out with fourth seed UCLA.
Thank you, Jennica. Tonight we leave you with this from Gator Fly Day. This event honors all branches of the military. Members of the media got a chance to fly in the clouds above the swamp and get in this sky for this experience.
Yeah, that was so cool. I really can't wait to see all that footage that you see on your screen right now. Look at that. Definitely such a cool event to go to, especially if you're part of the media. That's our very own WFT's Chris Will. What a cool experience. Definitely kind of jealous. Wish I was up there with him.
Me too. Oh, what a fun time.
Well, that's all we have for you today. As always, BBC World News is next, and the PBS News Hour is coming up at 7.
Your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a great night.